All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for coming, everyone. Um, we'd like to start off tonight with a land acknowledgement. The land on which we gather is the unceded territory of the Awaswas-speaking UP tribe. The Amamutsan tribal band, comprised of the descendants of indigenous people taken to Mission Santa Cruz and San Juan Bautista during Spanish colonization of the Central Coast, is today working hard to restore traditional stewardship practices on the lands and heal from historical trauma. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Emma Laser and I use she, her pronouns. I'm a practicum intern working at the MAH, and I've been working with the exhibitions team on a virtual gallery talk series that is in accompaniment with the MAH's current exhibition in these uncertain times. I'm pursuing my master's in art education with an emphasis in community and culture, and I'm excited to be here with you tonight. I'm also pleased to share the stage with my colleague, Edie, who's going to introduce herself now.
Hello, my name is Edie Troutwine. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the Chancellor's undergraduate intern for the Sesnon Gallery and the student curator for At the Present Moment. I'm also a third-year film and digital media major at UC Santa Cruz.
Thanks, Edie. In these uncertain times at the MAH and in the present moment at the Sesnon Underground are both exhibitions that share work of the collective moment of public health, political turmoil, systemic inequities, and creating community within isolation. In these uncertain times shares memorials and portraits in isolation to artworks providing emotional support to essential workers and offers an opportunity to share our collective experience of this moment. Featuring the work of 60 local Santa Cruz artists in these uncertain times at the MAH highlights the creativity and compassion of Santa Cruz County during this global pandemic. Thank you to all exhibiting artists, MAH community, and members for your support. The MAH is now open to members and exhibiting artists, so feel free to visit the website to learn a little bit more about planning your visit. Everett, if you could pop the link in the chat, that would be really helpful. I'm going to pass it over to Edie now, who's going to share a little bit more about her curatorial vision for At the Present Moment.
Thanks, Emma. From a general curatorial standpoint, I've been influenced by the community art shows I would go to as a teenager in Los Angeles and the forests of Santa Cruz, where young people would come together for impromptu shows set up in empty tennis courts, backyards, and redwood groves. These events would always feature art that people would bring, taping drawings to chain link fences or pinning into trees, and might feature a local punk band or two. These informal exhibitions would last a couple of hours tops, and there was a certain magic to these spaces where young folks could come together and share their art in community. And there was a beauty in the sheer range of art shown. I wanted to evoke this magic in At the Present Moment by inviting my peers to share their creativity with us and giving these pieces a space to be viewed and enjoyed by the community. Since I wanted the exhibition to be as representative of the entire UCSC community as we could, I outreached to advisors across different departments, online student spaces such as Discord, Slack, and Instagram, resource centers, and different clubs across campus. I'm grateful that folks were able to share their work with the Underground and the MAH and allow the community to share in their creativity. I'm especially happy to be here to host this virtual screening with Emma, not because I'm a film major and I love watching and talking about movies, but also because the community art shows I would frequent as a teenager would often feature small film screenings with a battered projector and a garage door or sheet. Film as an artistic medium is often neglected in art spaces, so I'm glad that the MAH has dedicated one night of the virtual gallery talks to this medium and for allowing me to engage with the art and artists in this way.
Tonight, we will be sharing a virtual film screening of the submissions for both exhibitions. We'll start by introducing each film, share it with you, and then invite the artists to talk about their work. At the end, we'll have a Q&A where all artists and participants will have the opportunity to reflect, ask questions, and share their thoughts about the films we watched together. If you have a comment or question as we are sharing, feel free to pop it into the chat and we can address it during the Q&A at the end. While we are presenting, please keep your mic on mute to create the best viewing experience for everyone. The first film we're going to share tonight is Essential Workers, by Gabe Medina. Gabe says, I was invited to join a caravan of artists, activists, and leaders from Watsonville, California, who wanted to thank and show our appreciation for our farm workers. I'm going to just transition here to sharing my screen with you for this fantastic screening.
Aquí estamos dando gracias a todos los campesinos que están trabajando hoy en los campos de Watsonville. Next time you see someone in the farms working like this in the ranches, in the campos, honk your horn, let them know that you are so thankful for them, because without them, no hay vida. Without them, there's no life. They're out here working every day, no matter what. And nobody gives them the thanks that they deserve.
Respect the essential workers that have been recognized, such as our doctors and our nurses and so on. But we kept thinking, like, what about our essential workers? What about those who belong to our family? And so we started talking about, sharing how we felt about this. I mean, in an emotional way. And then, one of the members, Ramiro Medrano, had this idea, like, hey, why don't we do a caravan? And everybody was like, okay, well, how would that look? And so it just kind of evolved. It came together. We called on Angela and Maria Martinez, who are Mixteco speakers, because we know many of our campesinos are Mixteco speakers that come from Mexico, Oaxaca, and we wanted to make sure they are getting the message. So what we decided was that we were gonna just kind of call together a small group and identify where the cuadrillas are at, and then go over there with our cars, maintaining the social distance, using our masks, and just thank them.
We just want to let you know that we've been doing this caravan to thank our essential workers. We're specifically been thanking the farm workers because I think it's important for our community to recognize their hard work and that they're putting their health in risk every day to put food on our table, and just inviting everybody to thank an essential worker because they're all risking their lives for us, and we have to be very thankful for that. And I invite my daughters to be part of this because they are the future of the generation, and we want them to also take part of it so that they can continue to do this. Thanking the essential workers, not just right now, but all the time.
I think the farm workers work really hard for us, and we really need to thank for their hard work and for putting food on our tables, and just to be really grateful for that.
Hi, my name is Marion, and what we're doing today is thanking the farm workers because of COVID-19, and if we didn't have food, then we couldn't even survive. So I just want to thank them.
Somos la caravana de agradecimiento al campesino de aquí de Watsonville y hoy terminamos nuestra tercera caravana este mes. Comenzamos esta caravana aquí, la mayoría somos hijos de campesinos, trabajadores agrícolas de aquí de la comunidad. Nos organizamos para hacer estas caravanas con el fin de llevar un mensaje de agradecimiento a nuestros trabajadores aquí.
y también con el fin de que esta caravana se extienda a lo largo del estado, y hemos visto que se está extendiendo también a lo largo del país. Muchas otras comunidades están realizando sus propias caravanas para agradecer a los trabajadores campesinos que ahora son considerados trabajadores esenciales, pero que nunca se les ha dado ni el reconocimiento, ni la compensación, ni el agradecimiento que se merecen. Entonces culminamos la tercera caravana, aproximadamente unos 30, 40 participantes, todos miembros de la comunidad de Watsonville, familias, manteniendo sana distancia y también compartiendo información muy útil a los trabajadores de cómo protegerse del virus y también de la importancia de hacerse contar en el censo. Entonces es un sentimiento muy gratificante de estar realizando estas caravanas, y esperamos que más gente se involucre y realicen sus propias caravanas. Gracias.
So Gabe was unable to join us tonight, but filmed a short little video answering a few questions we posed to him. The first question was, how did it feel documenting this social movement in this way? Also, how was your process affected by this material? So I'm going to just share his responses here with you.
Greetings, everybody. My name is Gabriel Medina, or Gabe, and I was the producer and director of the Campesino Caravan video. And unfortunately, I couldn't be there live in person, so I'm doing a pre-recorded message to just say thank you for watching the film, and to just answer a quick question. You know, what was the impact, or how did it feel documenting this social movement that was happening? And my response to that is we need to continue to document social movements that are happening in the time, even if they don't seem like big organizing efforts. And the reason why I say that is documentation, historic documentation, is really important, so that way the next generation could follow suit and improve on those organizing efforts. What the Campesino Caravan did was they saw that our campesinos, our farm workers, weren't being acknowledged as essential workers. So what they did was they organized as mujeres, as a community, as a culture, in order to go out and say thank you for doing this work. And slowly, the Campesinos Caravan snowballed into an effort that gave resources, that gave information, that helped to assist the campesinos who were out there during this pandemic with no support from local governments, right? And it was these women who inspired countless other organizing efforts throughout California and, quite frankly, throughout the US. There were several Campesino caravans that erupted in small cities similar to Watsonville's. And it was a beauty being able to help get this message out. When I started documenting it, and I put out this video, it got picked up by NBC and a few other news organizations. And I honestly feel that that really showed the humanity that exists within us during a tough and difficult time. And it was beautiful to see a seed being planted that I hope will continue to happen. And till today, right, they are still strong and going out and showing love to our campesinos out there. So thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this project, I do have a few others that I'm working on. I went ahead and sent over the link. And the next big project that I'm going to be working on is actually a short documentary film about Guillermo Aranda, who's a famous muralist from the Watsonville area. I'll go ahead and link that in as well. Thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. And please continue to support organizational efforts during this time. It really goes a long way. Thank you, guys.
The next film is called Blues by Marion Mafnus. Marion says, "This is our campus void of life, void of everything that makes it ours." And thank you for putting in the chat, Valentina.
Sorry, folks. I'm just having an issue with this file all of a sudden. Just bear with me for a few moments here. Thank you.
Is it cool if I say something real quick?
Absolutely.
I just want
Okay.
to say thanks to Gabe. I know Gabe Medina. I also work with him at the Digital Nest, and he was very helpful when it came to when we first started the Watsonville Campesino Appreciation Caravan with documenting. And he says that on there about documenting like movements that take place, and I think it's very important. He was very helpful in like helping us get the word out with what we were doing and bringing like awareness to essential workers who aren't part of like the dominant narrative here in California and the rest of the United States. So it was very impactful, like the multiple videos he made, and he ended up making one later on that was part of the Calavera Media film production that he's part of that also documents like what we've been up to recently.
Thank you so much, Valentina. It's wonderful to have you here tonight, and I really appreciate that additional context. It's wonderful seeing Gabe's work and all the work that you all are working on right now. I think we have it sorted.
Sorry, just 1 second. The video is playing, but there is no video in it. So hold on just a moment.
Oh my gosh, I keep not unmuting myself. My apologies. So I believe that Marion is here with us tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. I'd love to ask you a few questions about your work. So, what was the significance of shooting the film at night? And how has the way you view these spaces changed? And what do you anticipate your interactions will be in the future once students can return to using them as they were intended?
Hi everyone. I did this film as part of a studio course and as part of a long line of COVID work. I found that it was really important for people to have kind of an outlet for their trauma response regarding COVID, especially because there's a lot of media that we intake frequently that's full of negativity, but there's really no outlet to just sit with your emotions and feel kind of the loss and the mourning that we've all experienced together. And the significance of filming this at night for me was just the loneliness that I felt walking around school. I've been here since COVID hit on campus, and there's not anyone here, which to me is completely different from when I first got here. And our campus was full of life and love and laughter and things like that. So I think once students return to this campus, the energy will be completely different. I think walking around at night, seeing the library full of light without any people in it, the art department everywhere on campus for me has just lost its humanity. And when students return, I think the life will return back here and kind of the warmth.
Thank you.
All right, so this next piece, Refraction, is a piece by Madison McGain. Madison says, it's an attempt to reconcile with the experiences of the last 6 months, to consider the impact of Western society's culture of separation and avoidance of morality. My experience of the pandemic has led me to understand nature as a constant reminder of the ephemerality and to understand and acknowledge the profoundly beautiful side of impermanence. So Madison was unable to join us tonight, but I'd love to ask you some questions inspired by Madison's film. How has movement helped you reconnect and express reconnection with the natural world? If anyone has an answer to this, I'd love you to unmute yourself and maybe share your response. I'll repeat the question one more time. How has movement helped you reconnect and express your reconnection with the natural world?
I'm happy to jump in to get the conversation started, warm up the room a little. My name is Everett and I work with the MAH, and movement has always been a really important thing for me in connecting with myself and the world around me. And throughout the pandemic, I found that regular walks and also more so mountain bike rides has really helped me connect to like my physical being, like reminds me about my breath, but also like immerses me in this really beautiful place and thinking about trail systems and how trails connect us to each other, to different locations, and also to the natural world in a really beautiful way. So I just want to give a shout out to all the people who maintain our trails out here. We have a really beautiful network, and I've just been so grateful for that during this time. Who's next?
Thanks, Everett. Anyone else like to reflect on that question? Here.
I can go briefly. I've certainly felt like Everett that nature and the natural world has helped me like reconnect, and going on trails or footpaths around the Santa Cruz Mountains or even just around my neighborhood has certainly been a way to watch the seasons change while staying in place and seeing a tree that didn't have any leaves on it in fall now blossoming into springtime cherry blossoms is certainly a way to stay grounded in my environment, and definitely like seeing the way that the earth is moving is super interesting.
Thanks, Edie.
I'd go next.
That sounds great.
This is Carol Sanford. I'm retired, and what's happened for me in the past years, I've absolutely had a love affair with my garden. I'm out there every day. I can't wait to get out there. I lose all track of time, and I spend hours out there and I don't realize how the time has gone by. And it makes me so grateful that I've had a space like that during this time when so many people are confined to small apartments in their tiny spaces, and they can get outdoors and walk on the public sidewalks. But I've just been really fortunate to have my own private paradise for me. And yeah.
Thank you, Carol. I feel similarly. I've been definitely in the garden a lot more. Looks like maybe Mary, would you like to say something?
Yes, adding on to that, definitely getting out for hikes and walks and bike rides has been really helpful during COVID. And recently I had the pleasure of taking a 2-hour bike ride with 2 young men, 11 and 14 years old, who had just come here originally from El Salvador through very adverse circumstances. And we were able to get them a wonderful bikes at the bike church. And we took a 2-hour bike ride on the west side of Santa Cruz to Long's Marine Lab and around the West Cliff Drive. And it was so wonderful. We all really enjoyed it. And it was just, there are many deficits of this COVID time, but there are also many really wonderful things happening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. I couldn't agree more. I think we're finding really creative ways to find community with one another and also to appreciate our surroundings in a very different kind of way. I had one more question for you, and that is, how has your relationship with impermanence changed over this past year? I know mine certainly has changed a lot. Even this idea of time and ephemerality, I am thinking constantly about how things change and having to pivot almost every day for something new, which has also made me really adaptable and resilient, I feel, in some ways. But I'm also recognizing my privilege within all of that as well. Anyone else like to share on this question? One more time, I'll repeat it. How has your relationship with impermanence changed over this past year?
Well, it's definitely front and center, especially being in the older ages. You don't know if you're going to get COVID. You don't know if you're going to survive it. Now we've had this slight reprieve of getting vaccinated, and in a few more days, we can actually have people in our house. What a concept, you know. But I've had the privilege during this time of really delving into impermanence and delving into being in the moment and meditating, and I have to give homage to my teacher, Gil Fronsdale from Redwood City, who's every morning leading this meditation group at 7 a.m. or sometimes 6:45. It's been very, very helpful. Very, very helpful. Thanks.
Thank you for sharing, Mary. Would anyone else like to share on this one? And by the way, if you're not comfortable unmuting, you're always welcome to put an answer in the chat as well.
I can go.
That'd be fantastic. Thanks.
Kind of on the same lines as Mary, I think I've learned the importance of mindfulness, just going from like doing so many things per day and kind of being go, go, go to just being at home and kind of like having Zoom meetings and Zoom class. I've kind of learned to be a lot more grateful for my like younger years since I know that time right now is kind of what I have, and COVID has changed so many things for me, but I'm definitely a lot more grateful about like each moment that I have in the space that I'm in right now. And yeah, just to practice mindfulness a lot more.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, well, if anyone has any other thoughts on these and you'd like to reflect later, you're welcome to put that in the chat at any time, and I'm going to pass it back over to Edie.
Thank you. This next film is called Fear is a Virus by Aaron Single. And Aaron says this experimental film originated out of a personal response to the alienated environment and unsettling temporality suddenly imposed by the COVID-19 pandemic. It complicates the performance of everyday life and vanity in times of apocalypse.
незрелые смоквы свои. И небо скрылось, свившись, как свиток, и всякая гора и остров двинулись с мест своих.
Erin, thank you for joining us tonight. And we were hoping if you could answer a few questions.
Oh, I would be happy to. I think my video is not on, but here I am.
No worries. Could you talk about your choice to incorporate Russian dialogue in relation to your own personal experience?
Sure. So I was actually inspired by the Andrei Tarkovsky 1979 film, Soviet art house film, Stalker. When I was making this film, I appropriated the soundtrack and kind of remixed it to my performance in the film, or my character's performance in the film, because I thought that the pacing of the film, the aesthetic of the film, the atmosphere, kind of the science fiction narrative of two travelers journeying into this area called the Zone, which is this post-apocalyptic space, and they're seeking kind of this place called the Room, which is a place where all earthly desires will be found. And so for me, that was like an appropriate backdrop to kind of set this, to put my narrative of my experience of the isolation, living in a apartment by the boardwalk in Santa Cruz, which is typically a site of pleasure and crowds, and in the pandemic became kind of a zone of isolation and a wasteland almost. And so yeah, the use of Russian comes from that film. And by putting two things together, I was hoping to kind of bring forth some of these themes of psychology and landscapes, and drawing parallels between Tarkovsky's film and my own.
Excellent. And how is alienation expressed through your presentation of yourself in this film?
Sure. So if we think of alienation as being, the state of being kind of isolated from a group or an activity of our everyday life, I was really kind of thinking about my character as someone who was exploring their their everyday performance of their own life, but also this idea of what does vanity look like in a world where no one will see you. And so the character's gaze upon herself and the character into the camera is meant to kind of create this effect to question, like, who's watching, who's she performing for in this world that I've created where there is no one. And through the idea of alienation, I explore visually through my cinematography. Sorry, it's late. My cinematography choices. So there's a lot of shots where my character is kind of occupying a stark landscape, and so that is I made a lot of choices like that with how I shot the film to kind of create that sense of isolation, alienation. And that I also wanted to kind of explore these ideas of psychology and ecology together. And that theme of alienation and isolation kind of carries throughout that exploration. And I also wanted to say that when I edit my films, I always edit to music. And so I was exploring this idea of kind of performing to a soundtrack that I appropriated from a film and like what that would look like. So music is really important to my work as well, and is in addition to kind of movement. So
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so this next film is called How Do You Spend Your Time in Quarantine? And it's by Marilia Kaiser. Marilia says, this video essay traces my own personal routine of walking through different landscapes of Santa Cruz and reflects on being in between languages and continents. It is an attempt to portray the experience of being quarantined across borders in an unfamiliar country with a foreign language and culture, to disconnect from the screen and reconnect with myself and nature.
I received a message from a boy at my cohort yesterday. He asked, "What are your new routines in the quarantine?" I thought, I just walk more. I try to find reasons to get out of the house, to be in fresh air, to walk alone around nature in solitude. Yesterday I took a walk at the forest. I contemplated between the redwoods. I noticed the roots of the redwood trees. I thought about my own roots, a different land so far away from here. Where is home for me? I look at a map. I'm so far away from home and I am so alone, but I managed to create new roots in this faraway strange world, in suburbia, in Santa Cruz, in California, in America. The woods and the nature are so much wilder here. I look at a sign letting me know I might encounter wild lions. Don't run and don't crouch. How did I manage to end up so far away from motherland, my body displaced walking through those woods? I stopped and stared at the poison ivy spreading like a virus through the land and the trees, not differentiating between dead and alive, rocks and trees. Between the ivy leaves, some flowers are starting to bloom, all alone, lonely but beautiful, still managing to flourish despite the ivy, right beside it or in between its leaves. As I walked, I saw 2 dead rats. I almost didn't notice them and stepped on them. Did the poison ivy kill them? Or was it maybe the wild lions? Their corpses were starting to deform and degrade, becoming one with the earth. I stood in silence for a second. I could hear the birds, the sounds of the forest, and then I could also hear the cars coming and going in the highway. The sounds are human but also natural. I hear voices. There are some people on the path. I have to walk faster and make sure they don't reach me. They speak in English, and somehow my train of thought gets derailed. In forest, in nature, I forget where I am. I forget who I am. I become young again, lost in an enchanted path. Only one goal: follow the path until you reach the end. The path becomes narrower and harder. I climb on a hill. Up on the top, I arrive in a meadow. I realize it is a golf course, green, luscious grass, sunny skies. I want to rest there, but instead I decide to return back home. I walk through the suburban houses. I really am in America. The other day I decided to go to the beach. This land is so blessed, so beautiful, it is uncanny. One day I can get lost in the forest, the next I can admire the waves of the Pacific. They say the ocean is the same everywhere, but back home we have no oceans, we just have sea. Sea smells salty and clean. The ocean smells infected, almost like a port. It makes me want to gag. I hear people say, "Oh, how I love the smell of the ocean," but I despise it. I can't even bear to go near it. Before I came here, I had never seen a sea lion before. I admire their in-betweenness, how they live between land and water. They lay one on the side of the other, drying their skins under the sun, resting on the wooden frame of the wharf. Their small society knows no self-isolation. They can be together just like I dream of the same togetherness soon to reach our human societies that are now distancing, everyone detained in their own little prison of their own liking and making. When I bike at the river walk, I meet the homeless. There is a woman I used to see at Trader Joe's. She always carries with her 3 plastic babies. She treats them as real, holding them all between her arms at once. Today I saw a man with a cart outside of our house. Yesterday it was a woman with a car packed with her belongings. I'm so lucky to be able to stay at home, but still, I can't help myself. I can't stop desiring to be with others, to touch someone else, to feel someone's embrace. I want to be like the sea lions, resting my body between other bodies, an infinite somatic orgy of togetherness.
Marilia was unable to join us tonight, but we were able to ask her a few questions ahead of time, and she answers them in a short video. So I'm going to share this with you in just a moment, but the 2 questions we asked her are, how do you use film as a modality of connecting to your environment while being immersed in a new place? And could you expand on the idea of quarantining across borders?
Hi, my name is Marilia, and I'm here to show. I think you already have seen my film. How do you spend your time in quarantine? I am really sad that I can't be with you today to answer the questions live, but I am currently located in Greece, which is where I'm originally from. So the 2 questions that I have been asked to answer in this short video is how I see film as a modality of connecting to the environment. So, well, as a person that I have been immersed to completely new places in the last few years, I always try and use my camera or my sketchbook to monitor and explore the environments that surround me. I try to find home wherever I go and get really immersed within the environments. And in a way, art making and artwork helps with that because you find some similar elements like watching the sunrise or hearing the crows or hearing the waves of the ocean, which here we have the sea. But those sounds or elements that I try to capture with my camera or with my sketchbook or with my own sensorium embodied experience, they help me understand where I'm at and perceive this place differently. The second question I have to answer is about quarantining across borders. I am a Greek national. At the time when the pandemic started, I was located in Santa Cruz. That was a completely different environment for me. I had just moved to Santa Cruz from New York, which is a completely different experience. From this large metropolis, I was suddenly in a rural environment that was full of nature, and I had never lived within nature before. So, being quarantined in Santa Cruz, it felt like I had one foot in Santa Cruz, which was a completely new environment for me. So I had a chance to stand still and really explore the surroundings and the city itself. And at the same time, my brain, my head, and my heart was with my family that was in Greece. And I was sort of observing their own quarantine experience. So, so I was observing like two quarantines in a way. And at the same time, there was all of this anxiety that comes with borders being closed. And as a person with the privilege of having such high mobility and my family being in one place and me living in a different place and moving a lot and being to a lot all over the place, basically, quarantining across borders made me realize how big this privilege is and how all of a sudden the borders were closed and my life as I perceived it by that time has completely changed. And traveling becomes very hard and moving becomes very hard. And I'm so used to moving, and how can I re-engage and redefine myself through not moving, through not being able to travel? And how is this life that I have created for myself even sustainable if there is no mobility? If the borders that were so easy to trespass before are suddenly becoming walls that they are impossible to go through, which gets us to where I'm at here and why I'm not there with you. Those borders have become so big, they are massive walls that even as a PhD student at the UC Santa Cruz, I am not able to move back to the city with ease, and I have to stay stuck in my home country. So I guess this film is this attempt to familiarize with a place that was foreign but also not foreign, and to kind of think through this idea of home and how we can make a new place a home after having just moved there and having it being completely new. How can we, and also if you are at home, how can you use or incorporate this freshness into how you experience your everyday life? Thank you.
All right. Our last film tonight is The Fridge by Jio Sung. Jio says the passing of time can mean very different things during the COVID-19 pandemic. Days and nights just blend into one another during these confusing times. Lately, the only way to keep track of time is checking my fridge, sometimes cold, sometimes hopeful.
Sorry, folks, just 1 second here.
The fridge. It's always been there. It was there before the pandemic. And it was there even before I moved into this house. The fridge. It's full. Then it's empty. The cold air erases the trace of what once belonged. But the emptiness gives us a chance to fill up the spaces again. Warmer than before.
All right. Thank you for joining us tonight, Jio. Hello.
Hello.
Could you share what role what role does the fridge play as a metaphor in your film?
All right, so hello everyone. My name is Jio Sung and I use she, her pronouns. I'm a senior studying film and digital media at UCSC, and I'm actually one of the video interns at the Santa Cruz MAH. It's an honor to be a part of this screening event this evening. And just about this film that I've created called The Fridge. So during this pandemic, I've been experimenting with ways I can navigate the art of healing and different filmmaking practices. And The Fridge is a film that explores the concept of time during this COVID-19 pandemic. So before making this film, I began with the question of what is the meaning of time when everything seems to be at pause? And how does the passing of time influence our perception of life, memories, and future? Then I started answering them myself and recognized that my concept of time nowadays is very blurred due to just being homebound all the time. But lately, looking into my fridge helps me to keep track of time and the days. I'm a very big foodie, so obviously the fridge means a lot to me. And I could say that I look into my fridge more than the amount of times I would check the time. And so um, the fridge as a metaphor in this piece, I would say it's during this time, I feel like it's so important to rediscover some of the meanings of just ordinary things in your life and dedicate a different meaning to those objects, because these days nowadays with everything going on can be very daunting, and it's important to find a sense of comfort and re-acknowledge the meaning of time and how you can heal, how you can relax, how you can appreciate the past and hope for the future. And so I think the fridge to me kind of helped me during this time to navigate these things and just tell myself that it's gonna be okay. And my relationship with food is similar to that. So food is the way I sometimes feel comforted and feel at home. So just remembering that and taking from that notion of food, fridge, comfort, and hope, I was able to create this piece. And so this piece, The Fridge, will also be included in my personal exhibition that is coming soon, next month, actually, April, called In Absentia. And for more information, you can connect with me on Instagram at Jio Sung. I can share the poster that I made for this exhibition thank you so much for having me here tonight. And thank you especially to Edie for she's been my #1 supporter all this time. And Edie and I actually met our first year at college as roommates, and we were able to just maintain our healthy and fun friendship ever since. And it's really helpful to have a friend who's very supportive of you, as well as a friend who's so passionate about her work as an artist and a curator. So yeah, thank you, Edie, for helping me navigate these uncertain times. And yeah, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Jio.
Yes, thank you, Gio. That was fantastic. And thank you to everyone. We really appreciate your presence with us tonight, to all of the filmmakers that were able to be here with us. We really appreciate your time on Friday evening, spending it with us and sharing a little bit more about your practices and your films. If anyone has any questions, we could take a few minutes here for Q&A for the filmmakers. Feel free to either put your questions in the chat or go ahead and unmute yourself for a moment, and we'll see if anyone has any questions.
Could I say something?
Absolutely, that would be fantastic.
Thank you. This is George. I'm with Mary. This is for Gio, and I just want to. I do a lot of work with some of my friends doing dream study, and the kitchen, the fridge, all of that is a symbol, a dream symbol of nutrients or nurturing, very feminine. And when you're talking about healing and as what a symbol that, you know, taking care of yourself, feeding yourself, meeting your needs in a time like this, COVID, when you're left alone. Who do you depend on? I depend on me. It's so obvious at this point that nobody's around. I've got to do it myself, and I need to feed myself. And such a simple symbol and such a quick little video is beautiful. And I want to thank you for it, because it was, I loved it. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your kind words. And I just want to say that as an international student coming from South Korea, it's really pandemic was very difficult in the beginning to navigate. Now I feel like I have, like a stable way of just redefining a sense of comfort and looking for support, and just having a strong connection with my friends here have been very helpful in this pandemic. And going back to nurturing myself, focusing on healing and cooking for myself and providing these basic needs for myself was very helpful. And through cooking, I was also able to reconnect with some of my friends, although we couldn't perhaps like physically be together, but I would sometimes drop off some of the things that I would make at home at my friend's place. And it was just like a quick interaction, but very meaningful. And it's nice. I love cooking. I love food. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions for the filmmakers tonight? Ooh, Marion has a question. Erin, what was the significance of applying jewelry to your neck during your piece?
Sure, that's a great question, Marion. So it started with kind of the mask as a symbol. At that point in the pandemic, there was a shortage of the N95 masks, and I happened to have one from the studio at school, and it suddenly became this precious item. And for me, decorating it, adorning it with jewels, stick-on jewels, was kind of a way of exploring the vanity of the object. And then when I began to apply it was kind of an intuitive process. Like once the jewels were on the mask, then I kind of began applying them to my body, and that was kind of it. But it was really exploring that idea of vanity in a time when, in a time of apocalypse, when no one will see you, which obviously references also like social media and our kind of focus inward now on those types of platforms as well.
Thanks, Erin. Anyone else have any questions?
Just to comment on that answer, I thought it was a very great symbolic way of representing how the mask nowadays means so much to us. It is a part of protecting ourselves from these crazy viruses going on. And I feel like just the act of removing those jewels and putting on your neck, it was very strong and powerful, because I just felt like nowadays wearing masks constantly, I feel like they're a part of my skin and my face. And it was very interesting to see that dynamic, how you interpreted that into your film. And yeah, it was very nice.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments, questions this evening? Always welcome to put it in the chat too, if you'd prefer. How about filmmaker to filmmaker? Any questions for each other? I know that last question actually came from Marion, so any of you have any other questions about each other's films or comments? If not, that's okay.
I just wanted to say that in terms of vanity, maybe I'm misunderstanding it, but I think I tend to think of it maybe with a negative tinge or a limitation. And for me, the jewels going from the mask to the body just was showing the beauty and the self, like incorporating it into the importance of the body, and our bodies are so important. It's what we are, what takes us through this life here. And anyway, that was so beautiful for me, to have the jewels go from this object that's on us back to who we are and on our bodies. So I didn't see it as vanity. I saw it as a self-acceptance and
integration almost.
Yeah, integration. That's great. But putting the emphasis where it belongs. So it was very beautiful.
Thank you so much. And thank you also for sharing that observation. I also have notes, sorry, I know we're over time, I'll make this brief, but I also recognize the significance of the clothes and the jewelry and the makeup that we decorate ourselves with every morning to feel normal. And so I think that was also part of the thinking that went into this is, if I stay in my sweatpants all day, I don't really feel like a human being during this time. And so a big part of me, a big part of my self-care during this time has also been, putting on a real outfit, doing my hair, dressing up. And so, yeah, that's also a nod and to that as well. But thank you for sharing that comment. I appreciate it.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for your participation tonight and for engaging with us in this conversation and dialogue. It's been a really enjoyable evening. And Edie, I just want to give you a shout out. It's been fantastic working with you and your exhibition. I just want to encourage everyone to check it out at the Sesnon Underground. It's actually, there's a lot of all of the work is online too. So you can take a look at that. Is that correct, Edie? Yeah.
Again with the mute. That's right. I'll put the link in the chat right now for everybody. And you can also follow our Instagram for more student art, and I'll put that in the chat as well. And I want to thank the MAH for having these virtual talks and for being so collaborative with the underground and for including students every week. It's super special to see student work being recognized on this level and to see the community really respond to it. So I'm so grateful for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Edie. It's been absolute pleasure. All right, everyone. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend and come visit us at the MAH and check out the Sesnon Underground. Talk to you all soon.
Thank you so much.